right, welcome back to another episode of 4 Reels. We're going to talk about some more Oscars today. We got Best Editing category, and we're going to talk about it and say what we like.
I want to read them.
Go. What's the nominees for Best Editing in category?
For this year's 2015 Oscars ceremony, the nominees for Best Achievement in Film Editing are American Sniper, Boyhood, The Grand Budapest Hotel, The Imitation Game, and Whiplash.
I like Whiplash. Okay, Whiplash.
Why?
It was one of my favorite movies, and I thought that it had really cool editing, especially if I don't know if damn, what's the actor's name? What's his name?
Miles Teller, J.K. Simmons.
Okay, I don't know if Miles Teller was actually that amazing at drumming. I know that he did a lot of drumming practice, but I mean, there had to be like a double in there for some of those things, or at least for like the actual like sound that was happening.
Yeah, that one's
Good
my
editing.
favorite also. I think the editing where it really shines in that movie, because the movie's there's a lot of tension and there's a lot of fast-paced moments, especially the climax.
Yeah.
No talking for like the last 10 minutes of the movie. It's all driven by the camera cuts.
Yeah.
You know, it's very intense. There's a lot that they need to show. They need to show the all the musical instruments, the facial expressions, going from the close-ups to, you know, the editing drives that entire scene. And so I think for that alone, that Whiplash is my pick out of those.
Yeah, I mean, I think also it's just the editing mimics what the film is about, and it matches the content in terms of it being about drumming, right? And there's this staccato rhythm, and we talked about it in the never-to-be-aired review of Whiplash, but about how the form mimics the content, follows the content, and I think editing is a really good example of that. In like you're saying, the visuals, especially at the end, but throughout the film, it's the way the rhythm of the drumming matches those.
Yeah, rhythm is. I'm glad that you said rhythm in particular, because rhythm of editing in any movie drives the pacing.
Exactly what you're saying about rhythm. You're getting like your audience members, like whether they're perceptive of it or not on a conscious level, like that's so integral to your experience watching a movie. Is that your mind watching the movie gets into that rhythm, and that's how you understand the flow of how the movie's going to go. And I think the movie that completely fails, and I'm very surprised to even see it on this list, is American Sniper. Like, to me, like I would get into we're now into kind of like the intense, suspenseful, stressful battle sequences, and then you're like, okay, and then it would just cut, and bam, we're now back into the home life, and we're like you're just like
it's very start and stop.
It's very start and stop. And then, okay, now I'm starting again to get to some of the drama of the home life, and then boom, now we're back in battle. Like after
It's interesting
it's so
that you say
night
that.
day.
That is, but I'm curious to see. I'd be
if
curious
it was
to know how much
intentional,
of it's
maybe
intentional.
Could
And
be.
that's supposed to be kind of the point of the film. Like you're in this battle, and then you're jarringly set back home. And you're like, where am I?
But it should be like, think about it. Like I can more relate it to like a book or something. Whereas when a chapter jumps, it should leave you wanting more to be like, oh man, that left me on a cliffhanger. I want to know. I want to go back. I want to continue that story. But now I'm on this new thing, and as you're getting into this new thing, you're like, oh man, now I'm interested in this too. That's how that rhythm should work.
Right.
If that was an intentional design. Whereas this one, I think it failed on that note because it was more like you didn't care about what you're watching.
I gotta agree with both of you actually, because I do think there was a good chance that was intentional, but I don't think they succeeded in those intentions.
Yeah,
I think we could round it out to this point. Okay, there's one of two options here. Clint Eastwood is a senile old man who doesn't know how to edit movies anymore.
Also, he's racist.
And he's also racist. Or he's an old but competent director.
what I'm going to say is that it kind of seems to fit into two main categories of editing. So you have the more micro level editing, and that's where it's the maybe Whiplash, American Sniper, and I would argue to an extent Grand Budapest Hotel, where the shots are very specifically comprised, and obviously editing is not so much shot composition, but it's the way your eyes are, it draws your eyes to the different parts of the screen, and a lot of, like you're saying, subconscious effects on the audience. And the editing is so undervalued by audiences because it completely conveys messages without them even knowing.
Right.
Yeah.
But then there's there's the more macro, meta level editing, and I think that's, on a grander scheme, something like Boyhood. And I think Boyhood is probably the front runner, or at least maybe the favorite, because it's such an all-encompassing, just like master, like
and
just
a
beast.
As much as we're going to talk about Boyhood in these next few episodes, about the achievement of the experiment, which was filming it over that many years, if you think about editing just as a profession, like what are you doing when you sit down to edit? You're going through footage, right? The sheer amount of footage that they had to probably sift through for that movie in itself is worthy of an award. Being able to pick and choose, because as we've discussed, it's a movie about the generations, about all the things that this character experiences over a long period of time. How do you determine what's important? How do you determine what's needed? You know, that in itself seems like a task.
I mean, imagine your life for 12 years. Now, cut that, okay, you got to choose 150 shots from your life from 12 years, and it has to embody the
you have 2.5 hours to showcase what you were about for the last
shots. Yeah. Every single one of those edits, every little second, is so important in that regard.
Not to mention in that movie, because it's about the passage of time, the edits tell a lot of the story. Because in one edit, in one cut to another cut, you'll jump a year. And you won't automatically necessarily know, and those edits are important.
And going back to what you're saying about American Sniper, how you felt it was jarring, and Boyhood, I think, is an awesome example where you literally are jumping possibly a year more within an edit, but it's not
doesn't feel jarring.
Right?
That's an accomplishment.
And
that's hard
it's on that subconscious level where sometimes it's even just visually. Like, he's riding his bike in one scene, and the next scene, he's still moving, and it's a natural cut. You're just visually, the visual elements make sense, but then you're also able to kind of gather the information at the same time. Oh, he has longer hair now. Stuff like that. That's all subconscious, and in a blink of a second, you're able to take that information and do the editing.
Right.
So,
I think
exactly.
Go.
I think we can all agree that an example of a movie three movies that never would have made it to best editing were the Hobbit films. Because those were movies where...
Or any Peter Jackson movie.
Any Peter Jackson movie, but it's just like... Some of them are great movies. I even think that Return of the King won for best editing.
Probably,
the one for everything it was nominated for. But it's just like, for the Hobbit movies, you may like them, but I think we can all agree that there's so much fluff in all of those movies that there was almost no editing.
It's like the opposite of Boyhood. It's like, take 2 hours of footage and edit it so it lasts 12 years.
If we're going to talk about strictly editing, this is a problem I had with Imitation Game, is that the whole story was within a frame story, and a lot of the editing had to do with how to cut that frame story back and forth between the real story. For one, I thought the frame story was superfluous, but their choices about when to go back to that frame story were odd to me. So that's why I would not pick this as my winner.
I mean, I guess I agree. It didn't have a lasting impression on me. I won't say I didn't like it, but just the fact that I don't remember, there wasn't
it was so
anything.
blah.
I guess that's kind of that. I
wouldn't say I disliked
not my
it,
favorite.
but it was just so blah that I'm a little offended that it made it here.
Yeah.
When so many other films are deserving of it.
Yeah.
I would like Whiplash to win, but I think that Boyhood is shooting to win.
Right.
Boyhood.
For both?
Yeah.
I want Whiplash to win. As far as what I think is going to win, probably Boyhood, but I actually also think that Whiplash might have a good chance. Only in that, because Boyhood's probably going to take the big prizes, directing and Best Picture, we might see some other movies take some of these other awards. So I think if Whiplash is going to win another one, it might be Best Editing.
That's an interesting point. I think Boyhood will win, and I want it to win, although I also would be really, really happy if Grand Budapest Hotel won, because I do think that's one of the film where editing had a huge part to play in why that film is so enjoyable. All right, cool. Good discussion, guys. Stay tuned for more episodes of the Oscar nominee talks.
Forward.
4 Reels.
Forward.
That's our show? 4 Reels.
Fours.
Dun 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 dun.